What's up, boys and girls? It's the Gypsy. Back at it again. Just gonna make a video on after rewatching this fight and who truly won. Was it Haney or Lomachenko? I finally got the chance to rewatch the fight, and man, I enjoyed this fight. It was a good fight, even though for a lot of people's eyes, the right man didn't win, and you guys are gonna find out whether I agree with that or not right now in this video. I mean, Haney is good, don't get me wrong. I mean, he proved me wrong with the Cambosis fight. I did not think too highly of Haney because of the Jojo Diaz fight, and I guess he sucks against Southpaws. He's not that good against Southpaws. He's good, but he's not that good against Southpaws. And, based on what we saw on Saturday, we saw the amount of difficulties he had against Southpaws. And he's a good fighter. He's not, you know, I don't like the kid. I like Hank Loma a lot more, but I don't judge fights of who I like or I dislike. You know what I mean? When Parker fought Chisora, I picked him to win the first fight. Uh, he clearly lost that fight against Chisora the first time around. The second time he beat him. I did not give him that victory. And I'm a Parker fan. I'm also a Chisora fan, but I did not give it to him. The same thing with, you know, I'm more of a, I used to be more of a Parker fan. Uh, still like Chisora. I like both guys, but you have to choose a winner, man. You can't bullshit and say a guy won that didn't actually win. You know what I mean? And yeah, you look at him all happy over here in this picture. Haney, that is. He's ecstatic. He thinks he's. I'm gonna get to the scorecards right now. I'm gonna tell you what my rounds were, round by round, who I thought won each round, and some of these rounds were close. I would say specifically two rounds were close, and I'll get to that at once I get through these pictures, and we're gonna see who actually won the fight just off of you can't obviously say by pictures. It's impossible. It's round by round. That's how we judge fights. That's how we uh, say who actually wins. You know what I mean? And but when you want to see like when the winner is winner, you know what I mean, you want to see some pictures that indicate that this guy actually won the fight. You know what I mean, something at least. So initially, I went through the success of the pictures that obviously this is a different style of video I'm doing. I'm not just saying what I round by round automatically. I decided to do something different on this video, and I decided to show you some pictures. And then from there on, I'm going to say the round by round, what I thought, including the scorecards of the judges. So we're going to go by the first picture. And the first few pictures, I got 4 pictures for Haney and 4 pictures from Loma. Four successful pictures that Haney is winning, the exchanges, and of Lomas. So starting off with Haney's, and you can see their jolly dad over here, and the belts and everything. All happy day, happy day. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I wasn't mad when this happened. I did not have any. Honestly, I kind of felt for Lomachenko, and I was pissed for Lomachenko because I am a Lomachenko fan. I was pissed for Lomachenko that honestly, I don't like the fight going to the judges. I thought he had the potential to stop the kid, especially in the 11th round. But I was leaning more towards a decision, split decision. But I told you guys in my last video, this fight's going to be close. And it's going to go to a decision. And if Loma cannot do more than, if he can't win 8 to 9 clear rounds, make shit, 9 clear rounds. He has to win 9 clear rounds against this kid, not 8. But 9 clear rounds, which I thought it was impossible for him to do if it's gonna go decision. He ain't gonna take it. It's impossible. You know, if he had 7 clear rounds, it wouldn't make a difference. But in this fight, I'm gonna get to the discourse. We'll see. We'll see. So going through the pictures, This is Haney's success. He landed a nice right hook over here, which some, who knows, maybe he followed up with an elbow because he's a dirty fighter. And we found this was, we all knew this before even the fight started. And then, give me 1 second. Let me put my phone on airplane mode. Yeah, and then we have following up the second success, which is these are clean shots, including this one and this one. These are clean shots. I have nothing against it, but this could follow. This shot right here can follow up with an elbow. I don't know because this is a picture. Can't speak too much too much on this, and I can't speculate that it did. I don't do that kind of stuff. So moving on, this is a low blow. He did not. There's a lot of shots that he landed in the fight where it either hit in this area. I'm not saying all of them did. I'm saying there's a plenty of shots that judges score, which was ridiculous. Even the rabbit punches, I'm assuming they score that too. There's a lot of rabbit punches that Haney threw and it was not deducted a point off of, which in a fight in this magnitude matters greatly. Huge, which would have changed the outcome even more to the favor of Lomachenko, um, since it's so close. And that's why people call it a robbery. That's another reason why people call it a robbery, but that's not the main reason. Anyways, you got low blows like this, where the punch is exactly close to the groin area below the belt. This is not a point punch. And then this is a good punch. I went through all of Google to find decent, nice, clear-looking pictures of success from Haney's side and from Loma's side. This is what we got. And then from nice little jab right here from Haney. And then we go to Loma's side, where this is about to land or not land. I don't know. I found it. Could have landed, or probably was a gauge of distance, more like it. hmm And then, but there's a lot of shots that land like this. This is all I found. So then I go further down and bam, and bam, and bam. I mean, at what point did Haney do this to Lomachenko? He did some good body shots, don't get me wrong, but a lot of those body shots, as I said before, were either in this circumstance or were blocked, which is not, this is not blocked, this is a good shot right here. We're hitting on the arm right above where you see Lomachenko putting his arm there. But there was also a lot of shots that he landed on the body shots. Don't get me wrong, he got a good he landed. But body shots, when I look at a fight, I do count body shots. I never not count body shots, brother. I always count body shots. But shots that are like this, you know, I I look at it this way. I look at a shot like this as a 1 point, even though it's damaging like this. But when it's this one, I look at it as a 2 point shot because this is much harder to land. I'm not saying it's harder. It's hard to land. It's much harder to land, depending on who you're fighting with, obviously. Especially a shorter man beating on a taller dude. You know what I mean? That has skill, which is embarrassing. He said he's gonna walk him down. He said he's gonna do a lot of things, but what happened? None of that shit happened. You shouldn't be talking like that if you're not gonna do it. You know what I mean? I mean, Lopez had better success, honestly. Lopez actually beat Lomachenko, in my opinion. Yeah, it was a rifle victory but this fight it wasn't, and that's why the LDBC are on Haney's ass because he clearly didn't win this fight, and I pretty much spilled the beans, right? Of my scorecard. So when we go to the scorecards, right, and this is the judges' scorecards. Some of this I agree, and some of this I don't. This was a close fight. I agree. This was in my scorecard either 7-5 Loma or if you're, you know, like what Loma was doing over what Haney was doing, you can give it 8-4 to Loma. And if you are um, can't really decide with the swing rounds, some of these swing rounds, you go 6-6 draw, which in any case, Haney's not winning. Any one of these cases I just mentioned, Haney's not winning. That's why people call this a robbery, because it was clearly the right man didn't win. It was this that reminds me of the Triple G Canelo fight where, in my opinion, Canelo lost that fight by 1 round, but they made it a draw. But that's more respectable because yeah, it's the same scenario, but they gave the guy a draw. Golovkin, that is. This is not respectable because they stole the guy. One, I mean, his dream was to always be undisputed. Haney's dream was not to be undisputed. That's Lomachenko's dream that he took and made it his dream. He wants to be someone like Floyd. He's not. He doesn't want to be Floyd. He wants to be Haney, but he wants to be someone like Floyd. You know what I mean? Beat everybody. Doesn't matter to him. Of course, it matters. The titles matter to him, but it's like, you know, beat the guys that matter, but not really. The undisputed wasn't his real dream. Let's be realistic, okay? That was Lomachenko's dream. But anyways, forget about it. As I mentioned, an 8-4, 7-5 or 6-6 draw, and 8-4, 7-5 for Loma. And I'll explain you why. Round one was to me a Loma round. Even though it was a swing, it could have gone either way. Round one was, I gave it to Loma. Round two, I gave it to Haney. I don't know how the fuck they gave it. This judges gave it to Lomachenko. He was not busier. Lomachenko did not win that round, in my opinion. He lost that round. Round two, Haney. Round three was also a swing round, just like round one was. These are the rounds that matter. These 1 and 3, which a point deduction would have made a huge difference in who won this fight. That's why I keep mentioning the dirty tactics that Haney didn't get a deduction off of. He got warned numerous times, never got deducted for rabbit punches, particularly holding and hitting, all that kind of stuff. So, round four, which they all gave it to Haney, which makes no sense. That was a clean shots were all coming off of. I think some of the pictures that we just saw was probably from round four. I'm not too sure. I cannot speak on it 100% certainty, but there was some solid shots in that fourth round that pushed the shit out of Haney's shit. Let's just say that much. And even though Haney had moments of success in the very beginning of that round, like 30 seconds into the beginning of the round, the later part of that round was primarily Lomachenko dominating him. Not in the sense of beating the shit out of him, but schooling him, touching him up on the head a lot more than Haney was touching him to the body. That ultimately gives him that round clear cut. That was the clear cut round for Loma. The clear cut round where Haney also won for me was 5 rounds and 6. 5 and 6 was Haney's. I watched it numerous times, and I mean there was moments where Lomachenko had some level of success, but it was primarily Haney controlling 5 and 6. That was his rounds, and 2 and 5 and 6 was Haney's. 4 and 1, I would say 4 and 1 and 3. I gave it to Loma. Actually, I take it back. Um, one was Lomachenko's that I gave. That was a swing round. Three was a swing round, like I mentioned before, and that could gone either way. But I gave one to Loma. Three, I gave it to Haney because the champion. Give him credit, bro. Okay. I gave three to Haney, even though it was a swing round. But one was, to me, was more clear cut, even though it was a swing round. It was clear cut that even Chris Algieri gave the first round to Lomachenko. Even though none of these judges gave it to Lomachenko, the first round was definitely Lomachenko's because he, at the end of, he outpointed him and he pushed him back, and that's crazy, right? The smaller man pushing the bigger man, and he outpoints him at the same time, and he's the one pushing him back. I mean, it's just no brainer for me to give him that first round. But the third round, I gave it to Haney. That was mine. But he was these, as I said, the first and the third were swing rounds. The second was definitely Haney's. The fourth was definitely Lomachenko's. The fifth was definitely Haney's. The sixth was definitely Haney's. And this is where things start to shift crazy. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 were all Lomachenko's. Dominant performance. Dominant. Schooling the shit out of him. Boxing his head off. This is where the crowd, just shifted to Lomachenko, is because of the fact that, and you can see through the scorecards, at 7, 10, right? They gave it to him here. Uh, Not all judges, but at least, I don't know who's the white side. So the white, I don't know who's judging on the white. I don't even give a fuck, honestly. But you can see the one on the far left, to me, is the most clearest. Obviously, let me check it on the side here and there. I think the one on the far, the far left is the most closest to me to my scoring, even though it's still wrong compared to mine. So as I said, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 was Lomas. 12 was Haney's. Ultimately, it's 115, 113 to Lomachenko, this fight. And because you give him the first round, that's one round, right? You give him the fourth round, that's two rounds. And then you give him the 7, that's three rounds. 8, that's four rounds. 9, that's five rounds. 10, that's six rounds. 11, the most obvious one is the 11th that he won. The best round for me was the 11th. That's 7. That's 7 rounds. So that's one. As I said again, I'll repeat it one more time. Round 1, Loma. Round 4, Loma. Round 7, Loma, as vintage Loma, when he starts at the 7. That's what happened with Lopez as well. 7, Loma. 8, Loma. 9, Loma. 10, Loma. 11, Loma. That's 7 rounds. Clear rounds. These are clear rounds that he won. Not like, oh, it can go this way, that way. You can give it to this guy that way. No, these are clear rounds that he won. I watched it numerous times today, and I can sit there and tell you without a shadow of a doubt that Lomachenko won this fight. Lomachenko was ultimately robbed because these rounds that I mentioned that he won clearly, uh, the rounds that Haney won clearly was round 2 and round 12 and round 5 and 6. Those were the clear rounds that Haney won. That's 4 rounds. That's why some people had it 8-4 for Lomachenko, because the clear rounds was for Haney. It was number 2, second round, number 5 and 6, and 12. So that's 2, 4. Take it back. 2. Let me get my shit together. 2, 4, right? And no, my bad. 2, 2, 5, 6, and 12. Not 2, 4. 2, 5, 6, and 12. Those are the clear rounds that Haney won. The dominant fashion. I mean, I wouldn't say completely dominant for the second one, but it was clear that he won. So the dominant was more like 5 and 6 for him. And 12, I think it was close to like this. It was, no, it was 12 was also dominant in a way to me. Yeah, he was pretty dominant. So two, again, I'm gonna repeat it again one more time. Round two, and 5 and 6 and 12. That's it. That's what Haney won clear. The round 3 and 1, which could have gone either way for depending on who you favor, who you like, emotionally. Uh, you could have given it to either man. You know what I mean? And if you gave it to Haney, for instance, if you gave 1 and 3 to Haney, that's 6-6. That means 6 rounds Lomachenko, 6 rounds Haney, and that's a draw. But if you gave any one of these 1 or 3 rounds, which somebody did, the pink side did here, he gave the third round to Lomachenko, and so did the blue corner, right? See, blue corner and the red corner or pink corner, whatever you want to call it. They gave this rounds the third round, except for the first round they gave to Haney, which is okay, reasonable, because he came out strong, and then he ended up didn't. And the Lomachenko ended up backing him up and throwing a lot more punches, landing a lot more punches than him in that round. So yeah, so two judges for three, they gave it to him. I don't know how they gave number two to Haney because Haney was pretty dominant. Number two, it shouldn't have gone to him, to Lomachenko, but they gave it to him. Whatever, who cares? Ultimately, this fight should have at best been, for if you're Haney's, if you're Lomachenko's, uh, judging for Lomachenko, let's just say, emotionally attached to Lomachenko, you would have given it 8-4 to Lomachenko. At worst, you should have gave it a draw. You know what I mean? Because you're not picking anybody for number 1 and 3, so that ultimately becomes a draw. You can make it a 10-10 for these rounds, or no, actually, if they made it a 10-10, I'll take it back. If they did it at 10-10, Lomachenko wins. If this, let's say, if we're, these rounds were given 10-10 each, 10-10 for both of them. Let's say 10-10 for 3 and 10-10 for 1. I think Lomachenko still wins, yeah, because yeah, if you're just neutral. Let's just say if you're neutral. If you're a Haney supporter, you would give the first round and the third round to just like the guy in the white over here, the judge in the white, you would have given the 1 and 3 to Haney, and which ultimately will become a draw. This is how this would have ended, a draw, if 1 and 3 was not not given to Lomachenko, or and given to Haney instead. But if this was 1 and 3 were excluded, and and they were, let's say, they were 10-10 for 1 and 3, 10-10 for each side, uh, then you would have Lomachenko winning that fight. Neutral, if there was fairness and neutrality, because you can't decide who actually won 1 and 3, then Lomachenko definitely fucking won this fight. And I don't know if you have to count this together to get the score, and I don't feel like counting it, but definitely he would have won it by, because he won clear 6 rounds, right? As I mentioned, I think he won. Not I think he won uh, the rounds. Let's say he won rounds 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, right? And he also won round 4. That's 6. Yeah, that's 6 rounds already. Yeah, it's clear 6 rounds for him. And since it's clear 6 rounds for him, and Haney's clear rounds are 2 and 5 and 6 and 12. That's automatic Vasily Lomachenko winning that fight because 1 and 3, the first and third round, you just give it a 10-10 on each side, neutral side. But if, as I said, if it's Haney, you're supporting Haney, you give those rounds, it's a draw. But this is why people call this a robbery. And the major reason why people thought this was an 8-4 to Lomachenko is because 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 in a row was Lomachenko beating up on Haney. That's why. This is a close fight either way. That's why I said I did not see Lomachenko as, I did not see Lomachenko winning 8 clear rounds or even 9 against Haney, but he did win 6 clear rounds against Haney. Clear, obvious rounds that no question about it that Lomachenko took that away from Haney. And if one of those swing rounds went the other way, or it was considered neutral territory when it's 10-10, or 10-10, let's just say 10-10, okay, not 9-9. There's no such thing. So 10-10. It's 10-10, then you had Lomachenko winning. So ultimately, in a way, this was a robbery because as close as because no matter what, like if you judge the fight properly, this fight had 3 options: either a draw, 7-5 Loma, or 8-4 Loma. It's one of those 3. There is no option of Haney winning this fight because, as you can clearly see from these pictures and how he's reacting, he backed up a lot off of it, and he was just getting overwhelmed with punches in a lot of cases. A lot of these rounds, including round 10, round 7 too. Round 8 was also one of those as well. Round 9 was also one of those as well. You know what I mean? But the primary big rounds was 10 and 11 for Lomachenko. Dude, it's just no brainer. This kid lost this fight. And whether it's by 1 round realistically, bro, this is boxing corrupt and we let it slide. If it's 1 round, it's just not a robbery. No, it's a fucking robbery, bro. If it's 1 round, it's a robbery. You know what I mean? If it was a draw and they kind of favored it on one side, that's not a robbery. You know what I mean? This was not a draw. It could have been a draw if the fight was, even though they're Haney supporters over there, they gave that 1 and 3 to Haney. But as you can clearly see, the third round was still not given to Haney. It was given to Lomachenko. So ultimately, you could have given the 1 and 3 to Lomachenko. Look what happened. If you had given Lomachenko 1 and 3, let's go back to the scorecards. If you had given Lomachenko 1 and 3, then you would have Lomachenko winning the first round, the third round, which is 2 rounds already up there. And then you have him winning the fourth round, which is 3 rounds already up there. And then Haney would have won 2 and 5 and 6, which is by the 6th round you be three piece each, which is understandable and reasonable, and that's how it should have been really scored. But I understand the first and third were very difficult to score, so it'll be 3 and 3. And then you have Lomachenko winning 5 rounds straight. 5 rounds straight, which ultimately gives him from 7 to 11. That's 5 rounds straight, and then that's ultimately you giving him 8 rounds. You're giving Lomachenko 8 rounds, and then you have the last round, Haney winning the 12th round, which is leads to 8-4 Lomachenko. And the story, man. I did a lot of work on this. I watched it multiple times. Took the perspective of the judges and all that kind of stuff. Maybe they wouldn't seen something in that, but there's no way, man. If you saw the third round, which was the toughest round, and they judged it correctly. The toughest round to judge was the third round, not even the first. The third round was the hardest to judge, and they gave that correct. That means they know what the fuck they were looking at. They knew exactly what they're looking at. So to them to fuck up on, you know, these rounds 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, which were not Haney rounds, because you can clearly see from the white zone, from the whoever was judging on white, they gave 7, 8, 10, 11. They didn't give him 9. How didn't you not give him 9? You know what I mean? They realized this would go to for Lomachenko's favor. That's why. And then this jackass in the blue gave I don't know what he was looking at. This is the worst one out of all of them. That gave 112, 116 for Haney. He gave 7, 8, 9, and 10 to uh to 9, 10, right? Like look at 10 to Haney. And then the red guy, the guy who was in the red, gave he didn't give him 7, which was a pretty dominant round as well. Uh, Gave him 10, didn't give him 9, gave him not 10 and gave him 11. It's sugarcoating it to give it to Haney, pretty much. Yeah, robbery. To the true undisputed champion was not undisputed. End of story. Just like how this is black privilege. They keep talking about white privilege and all that shit, bro. This is black privilege, bro. Let's be realistic. You know what I mean? I mean, Haney versus Tank is a good fight. Will catch a lot of people's attention, or Shakur Stevenson. But I think Haney Loma versus Tank, or Loma versus Shakur, is gonna make even more money. That's how I call it black privilege. It's not because of racism or anything like that. This is whoever Bob Arum, who the fuck ever it is. This is ridiculous because you're not gonna. They talk about greenery is what they look at, bro. How do you not look at greenery between Loma and Tank, or Loma versus Shakur? You know what I mean? And you think Haney goes up in 140, becomes success? You're out of your mind. He's not even gonna make it in 135 for too long because his body can't take it anymore, cutting that much weight. So, you like, as a businessman, if I was a businessman, I would have invested my time I would have invested my time into fighting, into getting, if I was Bob Arum, into getting Lomachenko this victory, even if he didn't deserve it, which is ridiculous. I wouldn't do that. But let's just say I am Bob Arum and I think about the greenery, right? I like fairness. I don't give a shit about if ultimately, when you do fairness in the sport, money will follow, and wasn't fair. And obviously, black privilege plays a role in this. You know what I mean? Because I mean, looking at Shakur's career and what he's done, you know what I mean, and looking at what Haney's done it more. I have to commend Haney. I can't disrespect Haney, but I can disrespect Tank and I can disrespect Shakur because there is a fucking reason behind it. Because dehydrated opponents for Tank's case and Shakur's case, guys come not to fight. They come to roll. They like not roll, take bend over and you know what I mean. They don't come to fight like that last Japanese dude. Valdez, not the same case. Valdez was a real fight. Valdez just couldn't fucking had no answer for the reach advantage that Shakur had and the speed and all that kind of stuff that he had. You know. Anyways, so yeah, if I was Bob Arum, right? How long am I in this video? 33 minutes, right? If I was Bob Arum, I'd be picking Loma. Loma has a few more fights in him. That's big bucks money. Big bucks, man. Even more than Haney versus the Tank. It's going to be Loma versus Tank or Shakur versus Loma. One of those two would make a shit ton of money. A lot of eyes would be glued. But Haney versus either one of these guys is not going to bring that kind of money. And that's why I mean, when they talk about greenery, it's not about greenery. It's about black privilege in this fucking sport, bro. It's pretty fucking horrific, honestly. It's bad. And then they're comparing Shakur to someone like Bivol. You know what I mean? Oh, the punch stats tell you this. I'm not saying his punch stats are not, they could be comparable, but you can't compare Shakur to Bivol, for instance. You can't because Bivol fights bigger men, taller men, sometimes somewhat skillful men, not at his level. Not like how Lomachenko just did with someone that's very skillful he fought against and he beat him and he got robbed. But he fights guys that are skillful to a certain level, to a certain extent, and he makes them look average. And they're bigger than them, have longer reach than them, and all that. But Shakur, on the other hand, fights guys that are not as skillful as him and they're smaller than him. There's no way you can compare this apples and oranges. You can't. It's impossible. The only one you can compare is Canelo. Canelo is a guy that, even though they hate Canelo, Canelo fights bigger men and he wins. You know, Golovkin was bigger than him. It was a close fight, the second one. But you can't really hate on the fact that he won that because it was a draw. To me, that was a draw. You can't really hate on him for winning that. And he's also the guy that takes challenges, unlike Golovkin. Golovkin does not take challenges. So I have respect for it. The only fake fight that I saw from Canelo that he gets a lot of shit off of is the Chavez Jr. fight. Kovalev fight wasn't fake. Kovalev was just dehydrated and wore down from the Anthony Yard fight, so that doesn't count. It's not much of a fight, but it's still a fight that he's legitimately went and fought him as a handicapped, similar to what Tank did to Garcia, similar to what probably Tank did to Rolly as well. I mean, Barrios, all these guys, even though they were legitimate fights, they were dehydrated, I have to admit. You know what I mean? So, and then I think he had a clause on him too. But in the case with Canelo, when you compare to Tank, Canelo, that was the first time him fighting at 175 against a heavy hitter named Kovalev. You know what I mean? A known name in the 175. That's not what Tank did. Tank didn't do that to Josh Taylor, for instance. You know what I mean? You catch my drift? He didn't do that to Josh Taylor. He did that to Barrios. He did it to these guys that if he's so good, he don't need to dehydrate these guys. You know what I mean? And then Canelo didn't do that to Bivol. He didn't do that to Caleb Plant. He didn't do that to a lot of other guys. You know what I mean? Uh, Caleb Smith. That's why Canelo's more respected. There's a reason. I mean, bro, if you're good, your skin color don't fucking matter. It shouldn't matter at all whatsoever. That shouldn't play a factor. But they make it about skin color, man. And they also, talk about white privilege, man. There's no such thing as white privilege nowadays, bro. It's all about black privilege. There used to be back in the day white privilege, but this is definitely is ridiculous. You know what I mean? Yeah, the money fight and the true champion. And some people were saying in the what you call it, that video, the BDA podcast, people were saying, no way, Floyd is better than fucking Lomachenko. No way is Floyd better than Lomachenko. Floyd made more money than Lomachenko, but Floyd is not better than Lomachenko. The angles, the things that he does, if they were the same size, there's no way. Floyd never fought a guy that's the size of Haney, and he's shorter, like he is, like Lomachenko is, like that. He's never fought and talented, not skilled. You can fight tall guys, but skilled as Haney's level with the reach advantage and everything, and he was lacking, and Floyd was lacking the reach and all this stuff like how Lomachenko was. Never fought a guy like that and won. You know what I mean? And won. Obviously, he never fought to win or lose in the first place, so he never, he always fought guys that were considerably had huge reach advantage. Disadvantage with him. They had a disadvantage with him, or if he fought someone that was bigger slightly, they had no level of skill compared to the lights. Let's say comparing to Loma to Haney skill set wise. I mean, clearly Loma had a way better skill, but if Floyd had way better skill and he fought someone skillful like Haney is, he should have handled him right. Never fought a skillful tall man with long reach. I think it was like the Conor McGregor fight where they said that Conor McGregor was the only guy that he Conor McGregor is the only guy that had in his entire career that had a longer reach than him. That's just crazy. An MMA guy that had longer reach than him. He might have fought a taller guy, but that guy wouldn't have had the same reach as him. He would have had a reach advantage over the taller guy. You know what I mean? That's crazy, bro. It's not because I'm hating on Floyd. It's not, I'm just being a realist. I'm like, is Floyd the greatest of all time like they keep playing? No, man. Sugar Ray Leonard was better than Floyd. Sugar Ray Leonard would have beaten shit up of Floyd. Maybe, if if they were the same division, Roy Jones Jr. at his prime with his talent and his skill level would have beaten up fucking Floyd. When he fought Pacquiao, Pacquiao was out of his prime, and you say, oh, because Floyd was out of his. No, he wasn't. Floyd was not completely out of his prime. The way Pacquiao was out of his prime was way more than what Floyd was. And actually, Floyd had gotten better ever since he fought De La Hoya. A lot better ever since he fought De La Hoya as Pretty Boy Floyd. Or I think he was Money Man at that time. I'm not too sure, but he got better at that point. From that win, he got even better, much better. That's why he schooled the shit out of Canelo. That's the best I've ever seen Floyd. And Canelo was not obviously green, but he still reach advantage, everything, all that kind of stuff was on top of that he had over Canelo. The level of experience, also dehydrated him. But forget about that shit. He was much better skillfully, and was the best Floyd I've ever seen was the one he fought against Canelo. But when he fought Pacquiao, he should have fought Pacquiao when Pacquiao knocked out De La Hoya right after De La Hoya had a close fight with uh, Floyd, right? He he didn't want it because he was too scared, and then he got better while Pacquiao got worse. And that's he picked and choose the time of the fight. If this was like the time when and everything to suit that him to make it an easy night for him where it's not a controversy. I clearly thought he beat Pacquiao. It's not none of that shit. Easy. And then what is he doing? He's picking on a smaller man. Keep in mind, right? A small man that's a legend in the sport. Just ridiculous. You should have picked him. If this was back in the day, like Sugar Ray Robinson's times, this would have been called for. They would have called him a bitch straight up. You know, yeah. You can't even compare him to Sugar Ray Robinson, bro. Sugar Ray Robinson's better than fucking Floyd. You know what I mean? Sugar Ray Robinson, Sugar Ray Leonard. You know, even Roy Jones that is better. You know what I mean? Didn't lose rounds. Roy didn't lose rounds, bro. At his best, he never. But Floyd did. Floyd lost rounds. And who did he not lose rounds? Roy didn't lose rounds to? James fucking Tony. Could you imagine that shit? You comparing fucking Floyd saying he's the best ever? Oh, because he's fundamentally sound and he has a more a consistent performance where he developed on and then it got to a point he got to his peak and then he started dropping and started fighting MMA fighters. But he picked and chose his opponents. Everybody he fought was smaller than him. Majority of the guys, the top level guys, were smaller than him or had less of a reach. If that's 100% over him. Almost every guy he fought has lesser reach than him, except for these new MMA or Joe Logan Paul or these motherfuckers that are fake exhibition fights that don't matter. Besides Conor McGregor, too, yeah, MMA, yeah, that's ridiculous. It's not even comparable, bro. This guy is a truly a great boxer. I don't think Lomachenko is the best boxer I've seen, but I think he's better than Floyd. I don't think he's better than Floyd. The best boxer right now that in this era right now is moment that I know of is Bivol. Yeah, and there's other ones that come around. Canelo, Errol Spence. I don't value Terence Crawford that highly. I think he's good. I think he's great, but I don't think he's some. You know, he's top five, but he's definitely not. Top number one for me. That's for sure. Anyways, guys, I had to say my piece. I said my piece, and yeah, this was a robbery. The rightful man didn't win, and Haney should be ashamed of himself and should automatically rematch and prove us all wrong, because that's what he needs to do for his sake, for his respect that people will have him, to actually like him as a people's champ, not just to bullshit around. You know what I mean? Like to like him, because he's slowly growing on me. Haney is growing on me. Don't get me wrong. It's just his attitude fucking doesn't. He kind of kills it every now and then, but he's growing on me. But he definitely lost his fight, and he just pretty much put a bad taste in my mouth about him. You know what I mean? And I don't want to see this kind of shit. If I were him, I'd rather rematch. You know what I mean? And have a clear conscience, tell you this much: have a clear conscience going into fights with Shakur or Tank, because to be frank, if Tank is what they say is, what he did, what he proved to be, and that Ryan didn't come over there to lie down, if you know what I mean. Same with Rolly. The Tank should Tank should knock him out. Honestly, this is my opinion. Tank should knock him out. This should be no brainer. Within like 8 rounds, he's putting 8 to 10, 8 to let's say 8 to 12. He knocks him out in that area. Same thing with Shakur. You should do the same thing with Shakur too, because like I said in my last videos, if he's legit, which is questionable because he dehydrated all his opponents. Those last couple of fights that he fought that were worthy of mentioning, even though they weren't anything of a note, besides Ryan Garcia that beat Luke Campbell. Yeah, and Rolly, man, fuck Rolly. You know what I mean? Rolly is a fucking idiot. You know what I mean? I don't know. I didn't judge. I didn't look at the fight that he had. Was it last week? I didn't see it. The year before, the week before last week, I didn't see it. Saw little highlights. I don't know whether he was winning or losing. I know he got dropped, and he bullshit dropped his opponent, but I don't know if he was winning or losing. But um, I will probably look at it later on when I have the desire to. Anyways, guys, it's the Gypsy. I'm out. It's been nice talking to y'all. Peace. Anyways, I sound like a bitch. Bye.